Yeah, man, your asset is your knowledge, and your asset is who you know and your connections that you've made, and the way that you navigate is that's your asset. The equipment, I mean, you're gonna figure out a way to make some dope ass beats no matter what. Yeah. If you're a music producer, even if there's no computers and there's no Ableton, you're gonna go get a sampler and you're gonna figure it out and you're gonna make some ill material. You know, I mean, like it's all the other end of it is what's important. Absolutely, in that aspect, as far as like building. I mean, yeah, get a cheap Casio or make your beats on a tape deck. Like you'll get it done if you've got the knowledge and if you've got those kinds of connections. I mean, the equipment makes it easier. It doesn't make it happen.
1, 2, yeah. Come on. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Yes, sir, you are tuned in. This is for the SB1200, ASR 10s and NPC heroes. This is for the crate digging, loop getting, sound manipulators, the Fruity Loop reasoning machine innovators that pump the bass and frequently freak the kick in a stand till it slaps in your speakers. The sound providers that make sure the song is tight. Shout out to the producers, beats grinding life. Shout out to the producers, beats grinding life.
Welcome to the Beats Grinding Life podcast with your host Siren, a weekly interview podcast with inspiring music producers, where every week you will learn from a different music producer how to potentially take your music career to the next level.
Today's episode of Beats Grinding Life is brought to you by Audible. Get a free audio download and 30-day free trial at beatsbooks.com. Over 180,000 titles to choose from on your iPhone, Android, Kindle, or MP3 player. Some recommended readings by past Beats Grinding Life guests like 48 Laws of Power, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, The Secret, Tools of Titans, and The Song Machine are all available with Audible. Once again, go to beatsbooks.com to get your free book. What's up, Beat Grinders? This is another episode of Beats Grinding Life. I'm your host, Siren Beats, and with us we have Widowmaker. Widowmaker is a production duo from Gresham, Oregon, right outside of Portland. They consist of Guttah and Grant Burgess. The sample-based producers are making waves not only locally, but worldwide. Here in Oregon, they are set to open up a music production school / recording studio in downtown Gresham called Midschool. They are credited with working with artists like Westside Gunn, Conway The Machine, Razah, Sage Francis, Slug of Atmosphere, and more. They also collaborated on a beat album with the legendary Ayatollah. Yo, Widowmaker, what's up, y'all?
Hey, what's up? What's up?
How y'all doing today?
Well, not bad at all. How you doing?
Oh man, I'm great, man. You know, we're not too far from each other, so you guys already know the weather is nice. It's beautiful here, man, and then I get to talk to some producers right outside of my area that's definitely putting on for the city, man. So I'm extremely happy.
Can't beat that. Oh yeah, man.
That's what's up. Well, man, I just read a brief intro on you guys. I just introduced you to the Beat Grinders just a little bit, but now I want you guys just to expand on that intro and just tell us something that we may not know about you. Maybe a little fun fact.
A fun fact. We both been producing beats since we were pretty much kids for about 20 years each.
Damn.
And we've known each other for almost that long too, but we didn't get together to make music until maybe 6 years ago, 6 years ago. Yeah, so we both knew about each other the whole time, and then all of a sudden we're like, hey, we should be doing this together, and then that's when Widowmaker started. Yeah.
Wow, that's crazy. That's what's up. Well, I mean, you started the interview right on the right foot. We always start off with the origin stories and how you guys got started in production and how you just got started with music. What made you start loving music? So maybe you can hop right into that and just give us your individual stories, and then give us the story of how you guys hooked up.
Yeah, I mean, I just always loved music in general, but when I was a young kid, my cousin put me onto a bunch of hip hop tapes, and funny story about my pops finding my Too Short tape when I was a kid, and not thinking that it was as funny as I did. But yeah, for sure. But I was lucky enough, oddly enough, in Gresham, Oregon, to be put onto some East Coast stuff when I was young, and I always noticed the difference between the sounds, and I've just kind of always, kind of started obsessing on that at a young age, and it's something that I've just always dug. So, I mean, once I started making beats, I don't know, I didn't set out to try to make that sound. That was just the sound that I knew to be hip hop,
right. Yeah,
I started off, I was a classically trained trumpet player, and I started playing jazz when I was pretty young. And I just fell in love with playing jazz, and I kind of looked at all the different ways, this is in the late 90s, early 2000s, all the ways that people were, what they were doing with jazz. And I found all these producers who were taking these old jazz records and sampling them and adding these break beats to them. And I thought that was just the dopest thing I'd ever heard. So I continued to play, and then I also started producing when I was, I was probably 13, 14 when I made my first beat. Nice. And, it kind of grew out of, a lot of the, kind of the jazzier hip hop in the 90s and some of the trip hop sound coming out of Bristol at the time. And yeah, that's how I got started playing music. And it's something that I ended up doing just about every day, and it expanded to a bunch of different genres, a bunch of different avenues, but I always returned to making hip hop beats.
That's dope. So what made you guys get together? I mean, were you guys just fan of each other's and you were like, let's just do it? Or I mean, what made that happen? We'd been friends for quite a while. We used to hang out at the same coffee shop in town, and we would hear each other's music from time to time, and it was we weren't really in each other's circles, but we knew each other, we knew of each other, and we always liked to hear what the other was working on, and fortune just had it that I ended up moving near to Guttah, and I was showing him something that I was making, he was showing me something he was making, and eventually it was like, why are we not just doing this together? And so we lived like 2 blocks away from each other, so we just figured let's
it was like 2 blocks. It was like literally like a 30-second walk down the street, Yeah.
Right.
Or should I stumble?
Yeah, there was a lot of stumbling back then.
That's what's up, man. Well, that's tight. I'm loving that story, man. 2 blocks away, and I mean that's nuts, man. It was meant to be. It sounds like.
Yeah, we started collaborating, and we just figured out how to work well together. We released a record. Our first record, the Asahi Sessions, was just kind of like, if you dig back and listen to it, I mean, it was our first example of work as Widowmaker together. Yeah. It's a very simple sample-based record, but we were kind of feeling each other out and figuring out how to work as a duo, because it's not just like us working separately as a duo. Like Widowmaker is a duo. We both make our own stuff also, but like we're it's like everything that is Widowmaker specifically is heavily worked on by the two of us in the same room all the time.
Well, nice. and if you go back to those old records, if you move through the catalog, you see things get kind of progressively darker and more intricate, and I think that's kind of where we were always trying to get to. And so if you look at the early stuff, I can still tell that it's us, but it definitely sounds different, and it kind of progresses into a lot of what we're making now.
That's awesome, man. There's nothing like growth. I mean, to know what you want to make, and then eventually get to that point to where you can actually make it, because that's the hard part is, when you first start off, everybody knows what they want to hear, and you can't always translate that through your music, and so Absolutely. Just to get to that point to where you're making exactly what you hear in your brain, man, is just a form of mastery, that you're moving up levels, so that's what's up.
And how to find how two artists, where they intersect and where it sounds best. I mean, that takes a little bit of time, takes a lot of work, but it's definitely worth it.
Awesome, man. Awesome. Well, that's a great story right there from both of you guys. And, Beat Grinders, I hope that you guys are listening to this, because I'm sure, we always hear that collaboration is a must. Collaboration is key. You can't be a lone wolf in this game and get ahead. And so, maybe you guys should listen to Widowmaker's story and try to apply that to what you're doing and try to find someone to collaborate with. So,
it changed the game completely, man.
Yeah, big time.
Nice. Do you guys think that you would be as far as you are had you done it by yourself?
No,
absolutely not.
No.
There's no way.
Wow.
The stuff that we make as a duo is, I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, like Grant's got a solo record already built. It's just we're just getting some features here and there put out on it, but it's mostly an instrumental record. And his beats and solo beats are insane, but the stuff we make together, it's got a signature sound to it. You know, it's these days anyway. You know, like I said, the Asahi Sessions was kind of a test run in 2014, but everything else after that, we've just been growing and just trying to just make our mark and our own sound.
Well, and there's a lot of machinery that goes with you know, making art. Like, it's not just the art you make, it's, you know, everything down to the logo and how you want to present it, who you want to work with, and where you want to release it, and you know what I mean, like what does it mean, what direction do you want to take it in? Like, that's stuff that you can come up with on your own, but I mean, we've found that it's a lot richer and you get a lot better product if you are sitting there throwing ideas back and forth, and you know, the other person will think of something you never thought of and push it to a height you never even dreamt of. So it's it's getting together. There's no chance that either of us would have been even close to where we are now without the other.
Yeah, and Grant's real musical too. I mean, like the stuff that we make, like I just wouldn't be capable of making it on my own. I mean, I've got literally not just a producer genius, but just a musical genius on my side, and let me tell you, it helps.
Well, and if we're being fair, being that musical gets well, like I said, I studied jazz, and you can get really like inaccessible and unlistenable with that shit. And I've made plenty of records that no one's ever heard because they're just like, they're too weird and they don't sound good at all. So we definitely temper each other in that sense.
Nice. That's awesome right there. That's great to hear right there. So definitely you guys provided so many examples of why people should collaborate with others, even if it's not like a long-term thing, like a partnership thing, at least just maybe a track or two, you know, so.
Huge.
Oh yeah, I mean, I always start off with one track, you know. I mean, when we started making beats together, we had no goals.
Nope.
I mean, we both produced music with no goals on our own, and then we got together and we had no goals. We just started screwing around together, you know. And
I think the goal was to make a beat and drink as much as we could. I think back then that's what we were about.
Yeah, man. I mean, it was just we didn't really have any. This stuff just kind of all just happened.
Yeah.
It just kind of all just. It was just the path was just natural, I suppose. We never really had any goals when we were getting into this. I mean, like I said, we produced music on our own for probably 14 years apiece before we were working together with just like not even trying to release any music. We just made beats, just samples, just, you know, just digging and shit.
Yeah, that's what's up. Okay. All right, well, you guys said that you started 20 years ago, and so, I mean, I can only imagine there was probably no software as far as like Ableton or Machine or anything like that, and so I'm interested to know what you guys started off on. What was the first piece of equipment or software that you guys started making beats with?
So the first thing that I started with was turntables, and I would beat match and record it to cassette, or maybe record it to VHS, or I use VHS often as a recording source, a sample to record to. It's got a unique sound, and I like it a lot. But I would use those kinds of methods at first, and then I was introduced to the Korg ES1 by a friend. Okay. And that was my first sampler that I ever got my hands on. And from there we went. I moved on to that was his sampler. Although we were roommates, and I actually have it to this day. But he left it with me. But I ended up getting a Dr. Sample, like a 303.
Nice.
And that was my bread and butter forever and ever and ever and ever. You know, and Grant 303. Yeah, and then recently, a couple years back, I moved over to Machine.
Okay.
Yeah, Native Instruments Machine, and we're using Ableton as a DAW, and Ableton is really kind of like taken over most of what we do as far as production editing goes.
Okay.
But a lot of our sources are analog, or even if they're not analog, we'll record them to reel or record them to VHS and then bring them back in. And you know what I mean? Like, we're really about soundscaping a lot. What do you got, Grant?
Well, I started. I actually I used a 303 for a while in the middle of making beats, but I actually started. The first beat I ever made was, I can't remember what the software was originally used for. It was either an early like Sony audio software, or it was a video editing software. But I would make loops in it, and we had a computer that could barely run it, and I'd make these loops, in this software, and like whatever it was, I thought it was awesome. And then I got a copy of Fruity. It was still called Fruity Loops, and I made beats on Fruity Loops for long enough that they didn't sound silly. You know what I mean? They weren't shitty beats. And I switched over to Ableton probably 10 years ago now, almost 10 years. And at first I had used it a little bit before that, and and I was still using the 303 here and there, and but Ableton has just kind of become an extension of me, and it's really become, it's at least everything that we make, it at least goes through Ableton at least once, for this bit or that.
Sorry to interrupt. No, okay. Because of Grant's knowledge of Ableton, it's like on some if we can think it, we can hear it shit. It's just insanity. Well, it's limitless.
Yeah, Ableton is it's so expansive. It lets you do whatever you want. But I think what we've found is that the best hardware, the best software that you can get is the one that you have right now. You know what I mean? You can make a beat on a tape deck if you work at it hard enough. That's like I grew up with people making these like really cool like soundscapes and stuff on tape decks. When I was a little kid, I spent my life doing that. So whatever you've got, that's what you got to work with. But it sure helps to have Ableton, that's for sure.
For sure, man. Well, it's just that's been echoed on here so many times. More and more people are getting Ableton, and more people are loving Ableton, and so it definitely has not stopped with you guys. Both of you guys mentioned the 303. You guys have used that. Did you guys use that with Ayatollah?
The 303? No, there were beats. There were beats on that record that were produced on the 303, like Wretched Mutations, for example, like which on the vinyl is only a lock groove, but on the digital it's like the last track. It's like this really slow, grim track.
Yeah, there were some beats on there that started on 303s, but then we bring the stems into Ableton and really kind of get in there and do the fine work there.
I got you.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, the record Colossus. It had MPC 60. It had 303. It had Korg ES1. It had Machine. It had we used Wave Diamond Bundle here and there. Just all kinds of shit. Like we grabbed from our studio is pretty extensive. A lot of hardware.
Yeah.
So we're about hardware.
Dope.
So yeah.
Love hearing that, and love also hearing that you're not locked in and married to one thing. You're definitely gonna branch out and try to get the best out of whatever you have. So
yeah. We run like as far as hardware goes. We've been rehabbing this building and setting up this studio. We're sitting in it right now. We're gonna be running a analog station there too, basically. We have a multi-track tape system, like a real track recorder. So
tube amps and we've got nice reel-to-reels. We have shitty reel-to-reels. We've got rack mount gear. And honestly, our philosophy is like whatever gives you the sound that you want, just use that.
Yep.
Nice.
I'll put a guitar pedal. It's whatever.
Yeah, a lot of guitar pedals getting used for sure in the process along the way.
Yep.
Damn. Wow. It sounds like you guys are definitely in a playground. Gonna have so much fun in there. So that's what's up. All right. Our guest from 2 weeks ago, Nickel Plate, said that I think he's using Ableton, and he has a multi-track tape. But he said at times he can just turn off Ableton, not even use it, and just track the whole beat just on reel to reel. And so he loves that sound, and that sounds like a dream, man.
Yeah, it's whatever's right, like, we got this big reel to reel, but we also have like, little old 4-track cassette multi-trackers and shit like that. Like, if that's right for the project and it gives us the right sound, you might catch us pulling out the $99 Tascam to because we need it. You know what I mean? It's like
there was one beat from a while back where we wanted a guitar sound, and so we recorded just the guitar sounds into the 4-track, because the 4-track recorded onto a regular cassette tape. Then when we played it back, we just pressed on the reels as it was playing, so the whole thing was warping a lot, and we played the whole thing in reverse. Like, just whatever gets you the sound you're looking for, do that.
Right. Nice. That's great advice right there.
Putting down and shit by hand,
Yeah.
Wow, man. All right. Well, when we're still going to go back to when you guys were developing as producers, and I wanted to know when you guys first started, who were some people that inspired you? Who were some producers that inspired you? Who were you trying to mimic or sound like when you first started, and who kept you going? Who inspired you?
I think for myself, I didn't grow up around a whole lot of hip hop. I had to kind of find it, throughout the years. So I listened to, obviously a lot of jazz artists. I listened to the first time I ever realized I wanted to sample anything. It was I still listen to the track itself. It's by an artist named DJ Cam. He's from France, and he was taking these old jazz records and sampling them and putting drums on it. Portishead, their self-titled record, really shaped the way that I think about how to put together sounds and how to make beats and how to how to create mood, and how to make things sound kind of both musical and stylish at the same time. And I listen to, there's a lot of like hip hop producers, but I feel like a lot of them are kind of the names that everyone knows.
Right.
So I like to think about all the people who aren't hip hop producers that I listen to. Like I listen to a group called Boards of Canada all the time, because those guys know how to take analog and digital equipment and make it do exactly what they want. So I always just really aspired to have that kind of control, that kind of ability when it comes to manipulating sound, while at the same time being able to make something that is listenable and something that is stylish and something that people want to sit down and put on the record player.
Yeah, I feel like that's a huge challenge. Sometimes I want to just nerd out and do some weird things, and then the song or beat will come out really weird, and I'm like, I don't know if anyone could even enjoy this, but yeah, so that's cool, and it takes time to do that too. It takes perfecting your craft as well. So
we got plenty of those. I mean, for every beat you hear of ours that's decent, there's plenty of them that are way too weird or just didn't come together, just bippy. Didn't sound right.
You call them the bips.
The bips.
Right.
Yeah, for me, I've always been a fan of real minimalist, simplistic type of stuff. Like I like Razah and Muggs. You know what I mean? That if I had a sound that I appreciate out of hip hop production, it's that RZA sound and that Muggs sound. DJ Muggs and he's back in action, man. He is. Digging through the same genre we're digging through. It's been awesome watching him just handpick the cream of the crop and just make dope records with him, and then just move on to the next and do the same thing. It's crazy. Dude's living the dream, man.
Yeah, for sure. It seems like that's a new wave now. Is you see Alchemist do it too, of just collaborating with an artist for an album, and like you said, just moving on to another artist. And is that something that you guys aspire to do at one point?
Oh, certainly. I mean, we're all about collaborating with various rappers. I mean, definitely. I mean,
and then there's a lot of people out there that we're excited. We'd be excited to have the opportunity to work with, and there's I think the idea of bouncing around like that, I mean, that's what makes this genre so unique and so exciting is that you get to kind of see, all right, well, what would it sound like if this producer was with this MC, or like have like this producer with these two MCs, you know what I mean, like being able to kind of mix and match it like that. I think that's exciting. I think that's what makes it work.
That's one of my favorite things is figuring out what goes where and who goes what. A goal of mine is to eventually be doing that along with producing music. As like this genre, this sample-based genre, and this, like, I don't know, golden era sound, whatever you want to call it, it's popping. The bubble's gonna pop. It's gonna. I really believe it's gonna come back, and it is gonna be the genre of hip hop that everyone's hearing again. And, when that happens, what I want to do is I want to make projects, even if I'm not involved in them artistically. I want to bring people together and make great projects.
Yeah, nice. That's what's up, man. That's definitely what's up. I think I heard somebody say, you don't wave hop, you don't jump on different subgenres just because something's hot. You just stick with your own, and then when whatever you're doing when that builds up a big wave, then you're definitely going to be right there in the forefront because you stuck with it the whole time. You build fans, you build an audience and whatnot, and so that's
the same sound, same style of beat, and same genre that I've been interested in since the second I started making beats. You changed the damn thing. It just happens to be coming back around, which is great because we're sitting in a really good spot for when it pops, and I'm really looking forward to see just what happens.
Yes, awesome. That's what's up. Well, thank you guys for sharing some of your influences. It sounds like you guys have pretty different backgrounds, but you guys have grown into the same type of music. So I don't know if I phrased that right or not, but
definitely.
But at the same time, it's kind of the same. I mean, I know a lot of hip hop heads that listen to Portishead. I'm one of them. And so I listen to Razah and Wu-Tang, Cypress Hill, and then Portishead. So it's all in there together. So all right. Well, here on Beats Grinding Life, I love talking to producers, and I love having a great time with you guys, especially the local ones. Just getting to know you guys a little more. But there comes a time in the interview where I have to give you a punch to the gut. I gotta try to make you cry, and this is the time. I'm gonna do that. So it hasn't happened yet. No one's cried yet, but I'm gonna give it my full effort here. So I want you guys to tell me a major setback or failure that you guys have had in this game that you guys have been able to bounce back from. And the reason why is because failures and setbacks happen to all of us, and not everyone knows how to deal with them. And so maybe there's somebody out there that's going through something, and maybe one of your stories can help them out.
Yeah, we've had some setbacks. One of mine personally was I lost my whole first year and a half worth of production due to a hard drive crash and due to not being prepared with backups and such. I mean, this is a long time ago,
right? And
that was pretty tragic, you know what I mean? But I mean, looking back on it, it was all just training, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's like I got past it, and I made a lot of dope shit. It's just, if you I'm sure most people that are listening are into production. What that first year and a half is like. You produce a massive amount of work in that first year and a half. I mean, it's just like a stupid obsession, I probably made more in that first year and a half than I've made since, but it was training, and a lot of it was throwaways. A ton of it was throwaways. So I mean, not that big of a deal.
Yeah.
I think the biggest setback that we have collectively had was we're not gonna name any names. We reached out to a producer. This was kind of early on when we were making. I mean, we'd been working for a couple of years, and we reached out to a producer. We had just a handful of beats we were real proud of, and we asked, if he could give us any feedback about them, or if he knew somebody who might want them or some place to release them. Just we were real new to the game. We didn't know what was going on, and he totally snubbed us. He didn't hit us back, which is normal. That happens all the time.
Right.
And then maybe, I don't know, 2 or 3 months later, looking through his the beats he had for sale. And he was a pretty big name. He had some sale. And
I know where this is going.
he had in the middle section of one of his beats, he had sampled our beat. And by sampled, I mean just took the recording and plugged it in.
Wow.
And I knew because we had written some extra textures on top of it, and we had added a bass line to it that weren't in the original sample.
Right.
And so we knew that he took it from us. And I mean, that just made us feel like not only do we not know how to make it, you know what I mean? Like, this is early on. Not only do we not know who to talk to and how to make it, we're over here just getting played. You know what I mean? Like, we just felt like chumps, and there's nothing we could do. That stung for a second, but it also kind of like, it lit a fire under us to just like keep going and keep making better shit and like blow it off. And I think we effectively did.
Yeah, and I mean, we still released that track too.
We still released that track.
Out on the final only release.
Yeah, fuck it.
And we decided it's on the final only release of the Oregon's Finest collaboration that we did with the dispensary. You know. Yeah.
Dope. Nice. Well, you guys definitely came. Oh, go ahead.
But we just like to say that he's our son now. He didn't know that, but he is.
Nice. Well, you guys definitely bounced back from both of those. The first one definitely hurts. I mean, a lot of producers go through crashed hard drives. I know I have. I didn't cry when mine crashed, but I almost did. It hurt. I had a project on there, and that was set to release, and you know it's just hard telling the rapper, hey, you know what, we lost everything. But like you said, Guttah, you know, it was training that first year and a half is training, and that's how you have to look at it. You just have to say, you know what, I build my craft, I build my production skills, and just got to move on, just move forward from here, from this point.
I wasn't even gonna I wasn't gonna do anything with it, and I mean, I wasn't gonna release it anyway. Right. It's just, it is what, you know what I mean? And yeah, it was just getting me prepared for later.
Yeah, exactly, and it probably taught you to back everything up.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, another thing that we run into a lot, and that most producers will run into a lot if they're trying to work with rappers, is we call it being shelved by rappers, but it's like, you know, sending beats to people and then they like them and then they sit on them and then you realize that 6 months has gone by and you haven't heard shit.
Yeah,
right.
You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And so one thing I can recommend to people is that they communicate to people that they're sending their beats out to, even if it's like a little notice at the bottom of every email that's written in red or something or whatever, but that, you know, you got 4 weeks to get back to me about this, or 2 weeks to get back to me about this. This is an asset of mine, and you know, I'll give you a little bit of time to think about it, but like, I need to know if you want it or not, and then we need to get the ball rolling.
Yeah, you got to respect your own work, and you got to make sure that you're protecting it in that sense. I mean, people think of it's just beats, but it's like this is what we do. You know what I mean? I don't feel like we're giving this stuff away for free, and I don't think that. I mean, there are very few rappers in the world that are big enough that they could sit on it for a year, and then be like, oh yeah, I guess. You know what I mean? Like, they're tying up work we've done, and you know, so having more communication when it comes to those kinds of interactions, I think, is huge. Nice.
That's a gem right there.
Just knowing that that's how the game is too. It's something you will have to deal with when you start sending beats out.
No doubt.
You just have to determine how you're going to deal with it.
Right. Wow. And then that second setback, that was pretty tough. I would be pissed off if I were you guys. But at the same time, it lets you know that you are good enough. You're good enough for this producer that you respect enough to steal your stuff, you know. And so, you know, it just you guys. What's that?
That was the silver lining. I mean, we were pissed, and then we realized, like, hey, we did something dope enough that somebody that we kind of admire thought it was worth stealing. You know what I mean? Like, it's a cold comfort, but it was something.
Right. Yeah, we're tricky like that too. Like, we lay textures on everything. Like, if there's a sample riding by itself that doesn't have drums on it, and you could just something that could just be taken by another producer, it's usually got a little texture on it that we placed on it that we'll be able to go back and hear. Did they sample it from us, or did they go dig it up on their own, or like, you know what I mean? Not that there's any recourse, or, you know, it is what it is. We don't give a shit, but it's just nice. It's just fun. We're nerds like that, you know what I mean?
Nice. I love it. So, All right, well, we're gonna hop to the other side of it. I mean, I know that those are tough times to talk about, but they are necessary to talk about. That's what builds us as people. That's what builds us as producers. Is the tough times. And so we're gonna get on the other side and talk about some great moments here. And I want to know from you guys, what's the greatest moment that you've had in your career thus far? Your crowning achievement.
Man, I mean, there's been a lot. There's some that have been important to us that might not look like the most important thing that would stand out to people. Like, for example, we've done some great things since, in my opinion, but like to me, the biggest moment, like the feeling of like this is really going right, was when we started working with Trevor Lang. You know what I mean? Like feeling like, we got this guy on our team that's financing our projects, and we don't have to come out. All we have to do now is just make music. I mean, that having, it's so valuable. You know what I mean?
And he's linking up with the people that that we want to be working with, that we want to talk to. He's in the center of a movement, of a genre that we listen to, that we really admire. I think that when we first started talking to him, this is kind of what we were hoping would happen, and I think that kind of jumps onto another one of our kind of the biggest moments, or the things that made us feel so successful, and that was getting to work with Westside Gunn and Conway The Machine in making Lammy. It was when that happened, when that finally kind of came together, that was about the time we were talking to Trevor Lang, and like just to have all that happen at once and have it happen the way that it did. I mean, that felt pretty big.
Yeah, and I mean, we're really only trying to, like, as far as releases go, I mean, that's all we're trying to do is drop that type of feeling everything we do. I mean, the record we did with Ayatollah, I mean, that was a big deal for us, I mean, we respect the work, and it just, the way it just came about organically was just crazy.
He was in Gresham.
Yeah, he was just in Gresham. Just met him through a homie, and I mean, so there's these, like Tola linking us up with Hellrazah. Like, we produced a whole record for Hellrazah that hasn't been released yet, but like that was a moment, doing that work. There's the feeling of like, there's these moments of like, oh yeah, I get to work with so-and-so or whatever, but like doing that work for Hellrazah, that was so much fun for us and so valuable for us. And it was so early on too, like the beats are pretty simple, but like it was, I mean, I've been listening to Hellrazah since Sons of Man,
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Well, I think that, there are two kinds of feelings of success, and gotta correct me if I'm wrong, but one of them is the kind of success like when we were working on the Hellrazah project, we didn't know where it was going to go, and it hasn't come out in the way that we envisioned it at first, and we kind of knew that as we were making it. It was just, we were honored to be working with someone that we respected that much, just for the craft of it, just to be sitting down with somebody who was capable, who the verses were dope. I mean, like, what we were proud of the work we were doing. Like, just to know that you're doing something in your craft that sounds good and that works. I mean, that's a huge success. And to be honest, like being on podcasts like this, like every time it feels like another big notch of success. Like, because we love talking about this and we're tired of hearing each other be the only person that we talk to about it. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it's amazing to know that there are other people out there that dig this side of the work, because beats often get kind of forgotten, and and that's just the nature of the game. But like, I don't know, it feels really successful to us when we're recognized for something that we do, that we love to do, that we try to do kind of to our highest ability. So I mean, like those are big deals.
And like just recently too, having our music featured on Adult Swim, you know what I'm saying, on the Pistol Dave video from the Epic Beardman, working with B. Dolan and Sage Francis, and then not even knowing that Slug was going to be involved, just finding out about it after it comes out. I mean, that was a pretty cool moment, definitely. Definitely, that is probably one of our biggest achievements so far, as far as like chess in the game, and like making maneuvers. But like, I'm just as proud of all of our other things that we've done though. Like I love, you know, like the singles we released with like K Burns and Teak Hall and things like that, you know. I'm just as proud of those as anything else. Those are like some of our favorite songs we've ever done, you know. So
those guys killed those too. Yeah, like everything we put out. I mean, I honestly feel this way, and I think I speak for both of us. Everything we put out, there's definitely an amount of pride and an amount of a feeling of being successful.
Right. Nice. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if you guys know Libretto at all, but you know, he said, you know, each song is his baby. He feels like each song is a child. And so, you know, regardless of, you know, whether it goes out, you know, to artist A or artist B or all the way to artist Z, you know, you still have love for that. You know, you're going to love all your children, you know, the same. So, yeah, that's what's up. Well, you know, I'm extremely proud of you guys. You know, I don't know you that well, but whenever I hear about people in Oregon, in the Portland area, doing big things, I'm always proud of them. I'm a big cheerleader, and so I'm definitely a big cheerleader of you guys, as well as like Trox and Samurai, and you know, some of the other Portland artists that we've had on here. And so yeah, I just want to say keep going, and thank you guys for everything that you're doing. You're providing inspiration for me, for everyone else in the Portland area in Oregon, and then as people, you know, all over the country and worldwide as well. So you guys keep pushing. And so I don't want to rank you. I don't want to rank your achievements at all. You know, I barely know you guys, but I do think that this is a good time to bring it up. The Midschool. You know, you guys are about to open up a school, and so I'm sure that's a huge achievement as well. Do you guys mind talking about it?
Yeah, you know, we've been making music in this town for a long time, and I've taught music production, mostly hip hop production. You know, through the college out here, I've taught it through some other organizations, and you know, and I've made tutorial videos and things like that. And you know, we just got to talking, and the idea of like of bringing that to other people, and then also having a space for us to do the work that we do
outside of the house.
Yeah, outside of our own house. You know, because our studios were in our houses. You know, just kind of having a location in the city that we love to do the work that we love. You know, it was kind of, you know, we kind of floated it like it was a dream, but, you know, then once we started thinking about what it would actually take, we realized, you know, we had a lot of the stuff that we needed, you know, both in terms of experience and in terms of equipment. You know, a lot of it is just things that we've been using. And so, you know, the idea, it started off, you know, kind of modest. Like the idea was that we were going to do some, we do some mixing and mastering, and we obviously do a lot of production. We work, we have some commercial work. Obviously, we do work in hip hop. So, you know, it's a pretty broad revenue stream there. And so, you know, making a little space work seemed like it would, you know, it would make sense. And just the fate kind of lined up, and it got us more equipment and more connections than we could have expected. And you know, the whole thing has kind of happened a lot faster than we thought. But we're very excited about, you know, kind of creating this space out here. You know, just to kind of bring and yeah, hip hop is in our DNA, and it's at the center of what we do. But you know, a lot of the production, the things that we're going to be teaching and facilitating here aren't necessarily centered around hip hop. I mean, you know, there are a million different kinds of music that you can make with a lot of the same principles, and I think there's a lot of crossover between them anyway. And so, you know, just kind of having a space where we can take our craft even more seriously, and where we can also kind of share some of that, and maybe even do some collaboration, and then also a place to bring artists in so that they can, you know, work on, you know, if we're working on a record with somebody and they want a place to come in and sit down and work with us, you know, we have our own space here.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking forward to the most, is maybe, you know, someone flying in and spending a week here building a record with us in the studio. You know, we shut down shop for a week, and it's like, all right, we're building for a week, hard work for a week, you know, and like a lot of the groundwork's laid already, but then we edit it and we do everything together in the same room. We figure everything out together and build the record together. And I think that will happen.
Yeah.
I think that the Trevor Lang brand is getting to the point where he'll be in the position to start just shipping artists out to us and sending them out for a week.
And we can make records brick by brick that, you know, that have, you know, a cohesive, strong, I mean, just an immaculate feel to them. and immaculate in the sense of like whatever it is that the artists and whatever it is that we decide we want it to sound like, we have all of the equipment and the knowledge and the experience in one room. You know what I mean? In one building here in Gresham. I mean, like, the possibilities are absolutely endless, and I mean, we couldn't be more excited about that. So it's really it's the school and studio of our dreams, and we're just building it piece by piece.
Nice.
Yeah, we're hoping to see some people come through the school too that really just latch on and or become great music producers.
Yep.
I mean, they're going to be. There's many things to learn here, but one of the major focuses is Ableton, and I mean, Grant knows this software. I mean, to be learning, there's not a better person to learn it from. It's going to be a pretty good setup, man.
That's dope.
I mean, and I mean, I know Ableton really well. It's very much an extension of me. But like, you were asking earlier, like, what would we be where we are without each other? And I think that's. Obviously, we wouldn't be where we are without each other when it comes to making beats. But I think when it comes to showing people how to make things that sound like they want them to sound, like I don't think we'd be where we are without each other. Also,
yeah, it's been a good team for sure, man.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
Something else I just want to say real quick before we move on to the next topic is as far as achievements go and shit and accolades and all that. I mean, like, of course. Anybody that does anything for a long time is going to hit various milestones, and they are important. But, I just want to make sure everyone listening remembers that all that matters is the work.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? The music production, the time that you are, don't think about this. I try not to think of it like this song is with this person and it's out there in the world and that's so dope. I think back to when I was sitting in a fucking basement with Grant cracking jokes and making that cut. Those are the important moments.
That's
what
success.
I mean? Like, that's really the shit you'll remember forever. You know what I mean?
I mean, to add on to that, I think the biggest feeling of success, now that you say that, is the moment that we started to dig the shit we were making. Yeah. You know what I mean? The moment like we would make something to be like, I listened to that. That's like, that feeling is crazy.
That is a crazy feeling. I mean, I know that feeling as well when you make something and you're like, I could actually, this is something I'm a fan of. I could listen to this in the car. Like, this is this shit is dope. I'm dope.
Yeah, totally.
At the same time, it makes me wonder because I've had some beats that I made back in the day that I was like, oh, this shit's so dope, and then I hear him pop into a list now, and I'm like, oh shit.
Right.
So it makes me wonder sometimes if I'm just making the wackest shit of all time.
Yeah.
I just think it's dope.
I think not. It sounds like a lot of people think you guys are dope, so I think not. But that's what's up, man. You guys, thanks for sharing those accomplishments, and thanks for talking about the school. Who was the school? I mean, what's the criteria for getting into the school?
I mean, I think the vision is that it's any age. You know what I mean? I think like when I've taught classes like this before, and when I was teaching through the college, I had people. I think I had somebody in their 50s. You know what I mean? Like, just any age. This isn't like learning an instrument where you have to train your hands and your arms to do something specific. This is something that you can use. You use your ear and you use like what you want to hear, and like it's something that I want it to be open to all ages. Now I think there's going to be a lot of younger people that naturally gravitate toward this, and we're happy to hopefully shape some of those people, especially like in their early 20s. Like when I was in my early 20s, like all I wanted was like a space like this where I could talk to other beat makers and figure out how to do whatever it is that I wanted to do. And so there's no criteria except for just the desire to want to make something cool.
Yeah, and I mean it's more. It's a school, but it's all we'll have advanced classes also. It's like if you're a music producer already and you don't want to go through all the completely remedial beginning courses, but we'll be offering that as well. But we're also a lab, I mean, we have if you're a member of our school and you want to come by and use some of our equipment for something, or use one of our preamps, or you know what I'm saying, just anything you want, like, we're just a resource for people.
Nice.
If you have any questions about how to do something, or you want to be shown how to do something, or whatever, you know, things about just anything, or, you know, I mean, even if it's someone just has a question regarding music production and called us and just asked us, I mean, we'll answer them. You know, we're here we love music production, man. This is like, we're not really fading anybody. If somebody wants to know something about how to do something or is looking for knowledge, we're more than happy to share it.
That's awesome.
As far as school goes, I mean, you know, that is a venture, that is a business, but as far as just, you know, simple questions and stuff, we're willing to help anyone anytime. Anyone can reach out to us.
Yeah, we love to talk shop.
Nice. That's dope right there. I'm loving that. You guys are definitely a resource to others, and man, I just feel like you guys are going to be really, really blessed for that. So just because, I mean, it's nothing like giving back, you know. I mean, I think that's what we're all here for, is to be servants to others and give back and help others. It's just too bad not everybody feels that way, but you guys will definitely reap some benefits from that. All right, man. Well, guys, here on Beats Grind Life, we're always striving for greatness. We're always trying to make it to that next level. You guys are definitely leveling up. And so we just want to know, what are you guys doing in a typical day, so that way we can learn from you and maybe apply some things that you guys are doing into our daily schedule.
Oh, yeah, man. I mean, you know, it depends on what we got going on that day, but I mean, a typical production day for us is you know, we eat, we chill out, and we just start. We usually one of us will have samples to bring to the table, or even the beginnings of some chops or something even, and then we'll start building from there. Sometimes we spend time digging. Sometimes we spend time, you know, just digging for samples. I mean, we're using a lot of things other than samples, but we tend to start by just chopping up samples and digging for samples, and then if we're going to bring instruments into the mix, we kind of build around the samples, you know. But
and a typical beat making day too can consist of this awesome sample. I mean, it's super dope. We're just going to chop it up, and we work on it for 2 hours, and in the end we just go, nah, it's not. Let's see if we can bring another sample on top of it. We work with that other sample, and all of a sudden we realize, wait, forget the first one. You know what I mean? So like, there's a lot of scrapping that happens in there too, where you think you're onto something, it's not quite what you thought it was, and you know what I mean. So a typical day, that, you know, there's some wins and there's some losses for sure.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes I don't remember what song, you might remember what cut it was, what beat it was, but you know, some days we'll sit back and we'll be like, all right, let's go make something real slow and just dark and grimy today, you know, and like we said that a couple months back. We ended up making something that I can't remember which one it was, but it was like a successful day because we made exactly what we set out to make.
Right.
Nice. Wow.
What beat that was?
Yeah, it was something that fit the bill for something we needed, you know. So it was like, I've got to get this something that kind of sits in this pocket done today, and it just flowed It was awesome.
Some days it's like that, and some days we say we're going to do one thing, and then it ends up being a different thing, and we're happy with that too.
Right. Nice.
I think a lot of it is like, you know, I think the moral of it all is just time. I mean, you just spend a lot of time with what you're doing, and be willing to let something go if it's not what you wanted.
Right. Mm-hmm. Nice.
Yeah, in the specific genre that we work within too, or at least with the specific methods that we work within, just the amount of time we dig is just, it's insanity.
It's
you know
10
what
to
I mean?
1 at least.
Yeah, I mean, it's just dig all the time. We tend to do that on our own, you know.
Yep.
But not together as much, even though we do dig together.
Oh, yeah.
But it's digging for samples. I mean, it's just, we don't take that shit lightly. You know what I mean? We're looking for shit that no one's gonna recognize, that no one's heard, that hasn't been sampled before, that isn't gonna get us sued.
Right.
That
and that we can add to. I think that's a really big philosophy, is that if we find a sample, we don't want to just like, you know, and you know, not, this isn't a dig at other producers, but like, I don't feel comfortable just finding something dope, keeping it at tempo, at pitch, and just looping it. You know, like it doesn't feel right to me. Like I'm
not
like,
gonna do a Puff Daddy.
Exactly. You know, and so like I think our philosophy has always been like, if we find a dope sample, like if it's a layup, we have to add something to it. We have to make it something that it couldn't have been on its own. You know what I mean? Whether that's another sample, or that's we play some guitar over it, or like, you know, we got an old Wurlitzer piano, electric piano, just something on top of that that makes it something new. You know what I mean? So like, we have a lot of respect for samples. It's not just, you know, it's not just taking other people's work. It's like, how can we take their work and move it into some other, you know, like make it sound new.
Yeah, you have to look at it as an instrument, you know, and then you just add other instruments to it.
Exactly.
And that's exactly what we do. We do a lot of recording. We do a lot of creating samples and then taking those samples and chopping them because they're samples now. And we build those with instruments and with all kinds of effects on those instruments and such. I mean, you know, being with the methods that we use. I mean, Grant, like I said, Grant's a musical genius. He can figure out anything, but like, basically, we'll take any instrument and figure out a lick on it. You know what I mean? Any instrument, and I can do that too. And then we'll, you know, you can record that 10 times and then pick the one you like, and then move on to the next bar. So like, I mean, you're capable of recording anything you want. I mean, you could make a fucking straight up like death metal song from start to finish, as long as you do it a half bar at a time.
Nice.
You know what I mean? You don't even have to know how to do that shit. You just have to know how to do a lick for half a bar. Figure it out. Record it, move on to the next one, figure it out, record it. You know, it's like
it's all about the sound design and knowing how to manipulate it after the fact.
We have all kinds of weird instruments that we incorporate. Like recently we used what's called an arhu. It's like a Chinese stringed instrument, with
Chinese fiddle. Yeah,
and we pulled it out and actually used that shit. And the beat we made, it's not out yet. It's called Munitions. It's crazy.
Yeah,
it's just so when you hear Munitions, I mean, we're actually sitting in there with this like crazy gourd stringed instrument that it's called an aru. It's weird.
We do have kind of a hoarding problem with strange instruments and analog gear.
That's another part of Midschool though, is all that shit's going to be here. So if you want to come by and tap some instruments that you know, you're getting stuck. You only have 4 or 5 instruments, and you're getting stuck with the same sound all the time. You know, we'll show you how to not only affect your instruments, where you got now 40 different instruments from the same instrument, but you just
I would love to. I'm actually thinking about coming and becoming a student to learn Ableton. I'm thinking about hopping on the bandwagon. So
definitely.
More than welcome, man. Yeah, please come by, spread the word, dude. We're looking for people that really take it serious, that want to make some dope music, you know.
Okay, yeah, no doubt. I definitely will spread the word. So, all right, we're gonna move on. This next portion is called In the Studio. So, I haven't been to the school yet, so I don't know what it looks like in there. You guys kind of told us a little bit of what's in there, but we don't know everything. But in this portion, you get to tell us what you do in the studio, what's all in there, and how you do it. So I want to know, what do you guys do when you first start crafting beats? Is there a set ritual? Do you turn down the lights, turn up the lights, crack a beer, coffee? What is it?
Well, it depends on the time of day, but it used to be crack a beer.
That was crack a beer, not crack and beer.
Well, right. There's not usually much crack. No, now it's usually coffee or tea. We just get posted up. We listen. I mean, usually it's just get comfortable, get your beverages going, and then just listen through some samples, listen through whatever one of us has made, and then kind of feel where it's going from there.
Okay. What's it not? Oh, go ahead, Guttah.
Oh, yeah, just equipment-wise, you know, I mean, we're tapping all kinds of things. If you want, did you want to get into the techie stuff, or what do you?
Oh yeah, we will. We definitely will. What's a not so secret weapon you guys have in there?
What do you say?
Not so secret weapon. I mean, it's analog, man.
Yeah, analog.
Pushing shit to tape and getting sounds out that you know, using a lot of analog and a lot of rack mount equipment and compressors and like.
I mean, get your shit out of the box. I think that's one of the main things that we try to do, especially if something sounds flat. Put it onto a reel and turn the volume up too loud so you get that tape distortion. Or put, I got a guitar amp, see how it sounds through that. Or like, you know what I mean? Just like, like send it out and put it into the real world where like transistors and air are moving, and use that analog gear to get a different sound.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
The not so secret weapon too. I mean, it's just this griminess, dude. You know what I mean? Just
don't be afraid of griminess.
Yeah, I mean, just it doesn't have to be this clean, like, something that's completely made with VSTs 100% and doesn't have any textures put onto it. Nothing. It's just too clean. You know what I mean?
Yep.
It's just like don't be afraid of grime, just grit and grime. I mean, it's so important, man. I mean, the same exact thing can sound entertaining if it's gritty.
Yeah.
And you might add that layer of grit because maybe it was very clean at first.
Yeah.
And then, it sounds like this old source that was gritty in the first place, but you scaped that whole thing, soundscaping, I guess.
Yeah.
And not being afraid of dirt,
Mm-hmm. Wow. And are you guys aware of who Sound Oracle is?
I'm not.
No.
Sound Oracle is a producer out of Atlanta. He's a sound designer, and he's sound designed a bunch of. I think he was exclusively Polo the Don sound designer or sound guy, and then eventually moved on to Timberland. He made all the sounds for Timberland, and so but he uses a lot of stuff in the box. But I asked him, I think I asked him what his not so secret weapon was, and he said he runs everything through tape. And so I thought that was just pretty interesting because you guys are talking about make everything gritty, run it through tape. And so, I think people would just assume, like that's underground music, that's 90s era. But then you have a guy that's making sounds for Timberland that's eventually going to go on Justin Timberlake's album, or going to be on all these big superstars, and he's saying that he's running everything through tape to get a certain texture. So I just thought that was kind of important for the listeners to know that it's just not exclusive to one type of sound,
Right. It's honestly production right now, and this goes for hip hop, but it also goes for pop. It goes for anything, anything out there. It's the Wild West right now. I mean, it's like people have more access to more equipment and more theory than they ever have before, and people are getting experimental even within very popular genres. I mean, like the idea that this sound only belongs to the underground, or this sound only belongs to like high polished pop music. I mean, that's not true. Like, if you think about auto-tune is a good example of like, that is the sound of, in the year 2000, that was the sound of the nicest studios and the most famous people ever. Right. And now it's the sound of whoever has downloaded it on their computer. You know what I mean? So like, it's breaking wide open. So like the griminess is not necessarily an underground thing, and the polished sound is not necessarily, a top 40 thing. It's whatever you want this piece to be, you make it sound like that.
Right, exactly. I love that too. I love that. Okay, all right. Well, I want to know what all do you guys have in your studio? What's all in your toolbox these days? It's probably a lot to name, but if you can just give us a few bits and pieces.
Well, so we're going to give you, right now we're in transition because we're still setting up Midschool, but we're moving but we're finding our studios and we're putting it in here. So we'll pretend like everything is all in one place right now.
Okay.
We'll run the rest. So we're running Focusrite interfaces. I've got a Wurlitzer electric piano from the 1970s, nice. A Fender Blues Deluxe guitar amp, about 3 or 4 different guitars, a bunch of guitar pedals, obviously Ableton, a whole, we probably have a half-ton worth of monitors. We got a zither, an Arhu. We have some outboard spring reverb units, a couple of taped reel-to-reels.
Spring reverbs from the early 50s.
Yeah,
too.
yeah. We've got it'd be easier to tell you what we don't have, and it's it's not that we have like super expensive gear or like we have the top of the line anything. We don't own anything made by Moog. We don't, you know what I mean? We don't have anything made by Rhodes, or we don't have any Rhodes made by Fender. It's like, but we've got a little bit of everything. I mean, we've got egg shakers, tambourines, egg shakers made out of whatever we could find around the house. You know what I mean? It's like we just have whatever we need, to get that one sound.
Air organ.
You got an air organ.
Have little compressors in them and shit.
Yeah.
One of them's a little tabletop one. Melodicas.
Yeah.
A lot of horns and string instruments. Samplers. You know what I mean? We have a couple 303s. We had an ES1. We got some little unit that's like just a phrase sampler that samples one thing for 6 seconds. I can't remember what it's called. Bunch of mixers that we use to run everything through.
Some Stanton turntables.
Turntables. That's, I don't know, some of it.
Probably 8,000.
Tons of records and tons of VHS tapes.
Yeah.
Wow. And I mean, like, the VHS is all like old, hard to find shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's not to say a lot of it isn't on YouTube these days, but I don't want to sample from YouTube. I want to sample it directly from VHS in my VCR that's got the heads the way I want them. It gives me the sound that I want.
Yep.
I got like 5 or 6 VCRs, you know what I mean? I'm picking the one that gives me the sound I want for that project based on how it's currently running and currently clean or dirty, you know?
Right. Yeah. Wow, that's dope. That's awesome right there. Well, thank you guys for sharing just some of the stuff that you guys have in there. Beat Grinders, if any of that perked your interest at all, I will try to provide links to some of the stuff under Widowmaker's show notes. So it might be a little hard. I'll probably have to go to reverb.com to find a bunch of stuff, but
just random one-off shit in there. Good luck.
Yeah, I know, right? All right, well, this next portion is called In the Mix. We're just going to speed things up a little bit. It's like rapid fire. I'm going to give you guys a quick question, and then you guys give me quick answers. But if you need to elaborate on those answers, I'm definitely okay with that. So I want to know, do you guys prefer making beats with samples or without? I think I know the answer to this.
With samples.
For certain, yeah.
Okay. What's your opinion on selling and leasing beats online?
I mean, we've done a lot of collaborations online. So I guess in that sense, money has changed hands over the internet because of the collaborations we've done. The idea of just like going on a website and just like throwing up beats and like leasing them out to people, we're not wild about it.
Okay.
Yeah. Do whatever you do. If you're a music producer and that's your lane, I mean, that's awesome. Do your
no
thing,
doubt.
But like, we don't. Yeah, that's not us. We're not into the whole lease game.
No.
We're everything. 100%.
And everything we make is a piece that we've made, and we want to see it go to a good home. You know what I mean?
Right, for sure. Yeah, I mean, that's when you start selling and leasing online, you have little to no control. You know, anyone can buy it, and it may be a artist that you don't stand by because of their skills or what they're.
Yeah, we can't have our name tagged to some cheese dick rapper.
Right, and again, no disrespect to people who do that. That's just not our deal.
Gotcha. Okay, what's a plug-in that you think
How much money are we talking though?
What were you saying though?
We have to change our game.
Yeah, right. What's a plug-in or VST that you guys think every producer should have in their arsenal?
My opinion is have a compressor that you know and that you trust and that's super versatile. I have done more with a compressor. And honestly, like I have a compressor that I like to use, but it doesn't matter. It's just like know your compressor. I think that's the big thing. And I mean, I feel like every time you make a beat like compression,
should tell them about the fromage.
No way, you already did. Secret weapon.
That's a secret that doesn't need to get out. It sounds like.
But something that we both use a lot that's widely known, but I think is kind of slept on is learn how to use New York compression especially on your drums. We use that all the time, and it's just magic. I don't get
modified version thereof.
Yeah,
but yeah.
Okay, nice, dope. Yeah. Well, that's a gem.
Change your drums when appropriate.
Yeah, obviously.
Nice. Okay. All right. Is there a book that you think every producer should read? And it doesn't have to be about music. It can be about life or anything. But a book that you recommend producers read.
I never thought about a book specifically for producers. I mean, I think that there's if I could recommend that anyone read a book, especially people who are into kind of weirder stuff and kind of how stuff gets made, there's a book called House of Leaves, which is just a very, very strange book. It's not about production at all.
Okay.
But it's put together so interestingly that I think that if you think about producing in terms of House of Leaves, I think there's something you can get out of it. And if not, it's just a fun book to read.
Wow. Okay, I've never heard of that one. I'm definitely gonna check that out.
Yeah, and I'm gonna say, like I said, I mean, doing work with Trevor Lang, he does a lot of stuff for us, but there's still a ton of strategy, a ton of work that we do on our own aside from just making music. I mean, a lot. So considering that if you want to have any success in this game, you have to do every aspect of it yourself.
Yeah. Right.
The Art of War is certainly something that you need to read if you want to start playing Go instead of chess. You know what I'm saying? Nice.
Damn, for sure. Okay, that's one that I think a lot of people are familiar with, and that's sounds like some great recommendations right there. One that I'm familiar with, one I'm not so familiar with, but two books I definitely need to read. So thank you guys for those suggestions.
Oh yeah.
All right. Is there an internet resource that you guys use that you think that every producer could benefit from? And when I say internet resource, I mean a website like YouTube or a mobile app like Google Calendar.
I think Google Calendar it's something I resisted for a long time, and it has it's ended up being super useful. I think that if you are using Ableton, don't sleep on the packs that Ableton puts out, because what Ableton will do is they have artists and users and whatever, they put together these little racks that are essentially just effects or instruments that you can plug into Ableton, and there's a ton of them, and they're all the ones I've used are really well made. I feel like people don't think enough about Ableton packs. As far as the internet resource goes, I think that's like the huge one.
That's dope. I didn't know that they did that. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. What's Guttah? Do you have one? Or kind of the same thing?
No, I'm gonna have to say, using YouTube as a resource for knowledge.
Yeah, for sure.
Is by far the gem to I mean, not just for music production, for anything. It's the fucking matrix, dude.
Right.
You know what I mean? Plug in and learn how to do something real quick.
Yep.
All the things we'll be teaching, we had to learn from somewhere, and a lot of that is on YouTube. You know what I mean? Like you watch other people, and I think we both watch people who teach things that we feel like we already know, and then we'll learn one new technique that we hadn't known before.
Right.
Yeah, and just using you're gonna find as you go along that you're gonna want to do something that you don't know how to do.
Yep.
It's and that's how you build, and that's how you expand your sound, and that's how
Yeah.
And it's just I don't know. There's if you know how to use it. It's a great resource.
Yeah.
Yep, for sure. So I'm just gonna bring it up one more time. But Sound Oracle calls YouTube University. Says you can learn anything on there, and so. All right.
Sounds like we got a lot in common with
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah, I know. I think you guys should find out who he is. I mean, he's definitely a leader in the sound design field. So.
Sounds like it.
I'm sure we've probably heard a lot of his stuff. And
you've heard his stuff. Oh yeah, you've heard his stuff on the radio for sure.
Well, I know it's far out of the genre, but I've always really respected Timbaland a lot. I think that for what he does a damn good job at it. So I'm sure we've both heard him.
Oh yeah, you have. I'm sure.
And we don't have to get sidetracked on it, but I do want to say that what makes Timbaland so good, besides just kind of establishing those pop grooves, is his sound design. I mean, think about his work with Aaliyah.
Right.
What you remember about those beats is is that a baby sound in the back?
Right.
You know what I mean? There's always some weird shit.
Always something weird, right?
every beat he made with Missy, there was always some weird sound in the background, and it was central to the beat, and that's how you knew it was a Timbaland beat, you know. And so like whoever's doing that sound design, I always figured it was Timbaland, but whoever's doing that sound design is doing a damn good job. So definitely gonna check that out.
For sure. You know, one of the most important apps, I mean, this shit sounds hella cheesy, but like one of the most important apps in your phone is the one that everyone has, and that is your contacts list.
Real talk.
Wow.
The alliances that you make over the years are, I mean, they really do matter. I mean, like I said earlier, what really matters is sitting there and producing music, and the music that you're producing and making. That's what really matters. But your contacts list.
Yeah, you know, like when we talked to Sage Francis, it was a while back. You know what I mean? And it was a contact that Guttah made because he's amazing at talking to people and getting us to work with the right artists. And you know what I mean? It's like that little contact that he made. Like we did not know where it was going to go, and then it ended up being, you know, a track that, you know, was played on Adult Swim. So those contacts, like don't sleep on networking, don't sleep on contacting people, and just who you know matters.
And planting seeds, like with the whole Adult Swim thing and the new track, you know, with Pistol Dave with Epic Beerman, like we didn't even know that was going to happen. You know what I mean? Like we sold Sage Francis a beat in 2014 or 2015. It was actually the first beat that we ever sold anybody. Was that beat to Sage Francis. Wow. And it was like he just treated us like we were any other producers that he was working with. He was great. He was awesome.
Yeah, he was great.
Bought that from us, and then 5 years goes by, and then that pops up out of it. We didn't even know that it was going to happen. You know what I'm saying?
That's awesome.
It's definitely a positive thing. You know, but it's random though. It's just like this thing that we thought it was just another beat that went off to another universe that we'd never see again.
Right.
And but we were paid for it, so we were like, that's fine. You know, do what you want with the beat that you bought from us. You know what I mean? But like
yours now.
Then that ended up coming of it. I mean, that was just a huge surprise to us. I mean, it was, for sure.
Wow, man. Well, that's a great. I mean, I've never heard that answer before. You know, the greatest thing in your mobile phone is your contacts. We're at like 120 episodes. No one's ever said that. I think that's a huge gem right there. So thank you for that. And you guys touched up on the first beat that you sold, but what was your first placement that you guys remember? And I'm only asking because there's guys like me that's still looking for that first placement, and there's, you know, some of the beat grinders listening now, they don't have a placement, but they dream of one, and so maybe your story can spark some inspiration for us.
I'm trying to remember what our first one we did. We sold a beat to OGM Warner.
Yeah, OGM Warner.
And he did a song and a music video to it. Yep. And I believe that
would be that I think that was the first time. So we've been making beats for a while. That was the first time that somebody bought a beat and actually produced something with it. Yeah, OGM One.
You said OG1?
Oh, excuse me. It's OGM Warner.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, AM Warner. Yeah, good dude. He's from like I think Long Beach or Pedro or something down in that area. And we discovered each other through Instagram or whatever, and he dug our beats, and it just, you know, he linked up with us, and
that's dope.
We liked what he was doing, and he's kind of like this grimy dude who does these like freestyles and shit, and he's like grimy, I mean, on the rhyme tip, and you know what I mean? And he's a cool dude.
Yep.
That's awesome. Well, thank you for that story, man. Instagram connecting people, man, and that's dope. You guys, you know, got your first placement off of Instagram, and man, wow, that's dope right there. So okay, well, you guys have made tons of tracks for some good artists, but I want to know, what's your favorite one that you ever produced?
Favorite?
I think, I think together, I know the answer to that already, and that's a track that isn't out yet. That's called Los Alamos.
Yeah,
and
I mean, it's hard to say. Like that's off the top of our head, Los Alamos is, but I mean, there's a bunch of tracks we've made.
Yeah, I like Wretched Mutations a lot, which is like unlistenable garbage, but it's like the last track on
unlistenable.
The last track on Colossus.
It's very unsettling, and you can kind of see
that's one of my like old. So like that's a 19-year-old solo beat. I just had to put it on the record. You know?
And it belongs. I think. I mean, you can see. So like mine is a track that I produced that it hasn't been released yet, called The Egyptian Room, and I think I hadn't thought of this earlier, but Wretched Mutations and The Egyptian Room, that's a perfect example of like Guttah makes primarily really unsettling beats, and I like to make really swanky beats. And so where those meet up, I think that's exactly what Widowmaker is. And I think Los Alamos is actually a pretty decent approximation of the two.
So look for that in the future.
Yeah.
Los Alamos will probably make some upcoming projects. We've got some unannounced, some stuff we can't really announce yet coming up.
Right.
We got some crazy shit coming up, some crazy collaborations, and some really cool vinyl releases coming up.
Yep.
Wow. Okay. Well, we'll definitely be on the lookout for that.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, what's an album besides one that you guys have worked on that you recommend every producer listen to, and why?
I gotta say, for producers, Pressure Cooker, Daniel Son of Future Wave. That record is. When I heard it, I didn't hear it when it first came out. It was I didn't hear it like the day it came out. It took me a little while, and I was just like, how is not everyone listening to this? Like the I think that Future Wave walks the line between making something that sounds sloppy but also controlled. You know what I mean? Like I think what he's doing is he is right where he needs to be in terms of like making something like that sounds organic, that sounds kind of grimy, but also I think you're very aware that he is in control of the whole thing. It's beautifully put together. The tracks move right into one another just absolutely perfectly. Like when I heard that, I was blown away. And that's a fairly new record, but I would say Pressure Cooker, Portishead's second record. I think for a beat maker, you're not listening to Portishead's second record like you're not like. There's something about that. I returned to that record.
Yeah, we draw a lot of our methods from Portishead.
A lot of them, yeah.
I mean,
I can believe it.
It goes beyond sitting behind some pads and chopping. You know? It's for sure.
I mean, like the Portishead, they started because they were making soundscapes for a short film, and then they just like, let's just make a band out of this. So they started on the sound design, like Atmosphere, like that's what they started with, and they, they're in Bristol, so they, they're at the beginnings of the trip hop era. They're like, they're hearing all the stuff coming out of New York, and so they just kind of brought all that together. So if I was talking to a producer, and we talked about this before, we're totally in agreement. If we're talking to a producer and they're like, and they're interested, especially in this kind of subgenre of hip hop, what two records kind of sum it up, at least right now, I would say Pressure Cooker and Portishead's self-titled record.
Yeah, I say anything from Big Ghost LTD also.
Yep, no doubt.
Big fan of Big Ghost. It's just his production is impeccable.
It is.
He taps a lot of different methods.
Yeah.
Damn. Okay. Well, that
control too.
And who?
Yeah, but Big Ghost got that same kind of control. You can tell that he's the master of what he's doing. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Dope. Okay. Well,
speaking of Portishead too, keep your eyes peeled in the future for Widowmaker to be involved in some trip hop shit for sure, dude.
Yeah.
We're very, very interested in linking up with the right people eventually and creating some trip hop.
No doubt.
Okay. That's what's up. Well, you guys gave me some homework to do. You guys named a couple of artists that I haven't heard, and so I definitely need to do some homework and check those out tonight. Beat Grinders, if you guys haven't heard anything, if you guys haven't heard anything that Widowmaker has suggested that we listen to, I'll provide a link under the show notes, and you can definitely check those out. So thank you guys for those recommendations. I appreciate it. I'm definitely looking forward to those artists. So and re-listening to Portishead. So
yeah.
Yeah, that record was Pressure Cooker. It's produced by Future Wave. It's a rap record. Future Wave producing Daniel's son.
Yeah.
Nice. Okay. All right. Well, I want you guys to imagine this portion here. We're just gonna go into imaginative mode, and so I want you guys to imagine that you have a pick in one hand and a hammer in the other. I just drove you guys up to Mount Rushmore. We're gonna disfigure the faces on there, and we're gonna put new faces on. So you guys tell me what producers are on your Mount Rushmore.
All right, so I'm gonna have to say that we're building Mount Rushmore from scratch. Mm-hmm. Facing it, and on the front of Mount Rushmore, I've got the Alchemist.
Nice.
Big Ghost.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Future Wave.
Yep.
And DJ Muggs.
Real talk.
Wow.
But hanging off of the side of the cliff, carving it all in. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. We got the Primo, Havoc, Pete Rock.
Yep.
Nice.
Those are the creators laying the groundwork for the other four that I named. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, those are the sculptors.
Right. Those are the sculptors.
Without them, none of this would be a thing.
Yep.
That's true. I mean, you could even put Muggs in there with those guys.
Yeah,
absolutely.
We were talking about it. We're like, can Muggs carve his own face on there? Because that's pretty much, you know what I mean?
Right.
Absolutely. And there's just too many to name.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. That's what makes it so tough.
Right. Like Dilla's got to be somewhere around there.
Yeah,
of course.
Yeah, Dilla too.
Yeah, but like I said, I mean, like up on like stuff that Grant and I both like. We prepped that that answer ahead of time because we wanted to just like think about it. And I mean, Alchemist, Big Ghost, Future Wave, and DJ Muggs are what we enjoy the most. The four that we came up with that we enjoy listening to the most.
Nice.
You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But I mean that's how we're looking at it. Is like, what do we enjoy listening to the most? Not the most legendary producers of all time necessarily.
Not the most money-making producers of all time, but like, who do we listen to? I mean, and these are all artists who we can tell like this is what they do. Like they're exceptional at doing this, no matter what field you put them in. You know what I mean?
Yeah, this is all these guys' lives.
Yep.
Nice. Well, I'm loving that. I just feel like I have to listen to Future Wave and Big Ghost. I just feel like I'm kind of left out of the conversation because I really don't know how good they are. So this just lets you know again that I got some homework to do tonight. So I'll definitely get on that.
Those are two of the greatest in the game right now.
Yep.
That's crazy. Where I'm sleeping. My bad. So
now there's a lot of names out there.
Yeah, that's true. So, all right. Well, I still want you guys to imagine that you just woke up from a dream, and in that dream you had the perfect studio session. In that perfect studio session, you had one artist of your choice, one co-producer to go along with you two, Widowmaker, one engineer, and one random person. Who are those four people going to be that make up your dream session?
I think a dream sesh would be like Your Old Droog, for example. I've been listening to Your Old Droog a lot lately, and he's amazing. Mm-hmm. I gotta put Aesop Rock in that list too.
Oh yeah.
Sessions.
Yeah, I think the MC Your Old Droog or Aesop Rock would be great.
Or Aesop Rock, Your Old Droog collaborative record.
Yeah.
There we go.
I think the producer would be Widowmaker.
Of course. Who's going with you guys? I mean, who's co-producing with you guys? Who's in there with you?
Co-producing. Huh.
Co-producing. You know who I think would be a good co-producer with us? Rock Marcy.
Really?
I think I'd love for the three of us to sit down and make some beats. So I'm going to go with Rock Marcy.
That's a great answer, man.
Yeah.
Wow, that's dope.
I think Rock Marcy is such a talented MC that people forget he's a great beat maker.
Right, like myself. But I mean, that's dope because he's probably going to play 2 roles. He's not just going to play that one, and he's probably going to get on one of those verses too.
Yep. Yeah, that's kind of a 2-part shirt.
Yep. Okay. Who's your engineer?
I'd have to insist that Grant is the engineer.
I'll engineer.
Oh, nice. Okay.
I've got a decent amount of experience engineering, and I think I know how to get what we want.
Okay. And who? And random person.
We are going to go with Dr. Robert Oppenheimer. He is the guy who invented the atomic bomb.
Nice. Okay.
It's a dream, right? We can pick whoever we want.
You pick whoever you want in any point in time. So that's
Dr. Robert Oppenheimer. That's who we're picking. That's all we're going to say on that.
Nice. Well, that makes a very interesting studio session. I would love to. I wish that this could come to fruition.
Yeah, we do too.
Yeah.
Let Ace Rock and your old Drig know about it.
Yeah, just call him up.
Yeah. Right. Well, hopefully one of these days, something close to this can happen. You know, and I'm sure the path that you guys are on, something like this will happen. So. That's dope just to see, you know, what you guys envision as being the dream session, and I'm gonna look out for you guys just to see how close you get to it. So
yeah,
right on, man.
All right, well, I want you to imagine again that you just woke up on a whole different planet, but this planet is identical to Earth, but you woke up with 2 things: the knowledge that you've gained throughout your 20 years of production and $1,000 in your pocket. What are you guys going to do to restart your music career on this planet identical to Earth?
You know, if we're going straight with, not investing that money, or I'm going to get a job and get a pad and get set up, you know, like we're just in this dream world where, like, it's music equipment.
Right.
We would have to get our hands probably like on an iMac.
But just to let you know, any answer, even though this is like a weird out there question, any answer is acceptable. I mean, like, you can say, okay, this is what I'm going to buy as far as hardware, or you can kind of keep it as realistic as you want too.
Yeah.
Well, I think we'd get a computer that was just capable enough to run what we wanted to, and what we want to run is Ableton, and we would we'd start over just like we started over before. I mean, like, that's it doesn't that question doesn't scare us very much.
Not at all. I'd want to get some samplers eventually in the mix too, but that you know, wouldn't be affordable at the moment. But we would just get a computer and get a copy of Ableton, and we'd start making crazy beats, and then we would figure out where to go from there. And that's the part that it takes a long time to learn.
Yes.
You know what I mean? It's where to go from there. Like, what do you do with this product now that you have it? You know what I mean? And that, if we have our knowledge, then I think we'll be okay, because we're going to track down some dope artists and show them that we got what it takes to have them lace up our tracks.
I mean, the truth is, you can spend your whole life and make yourself a dope beat tape that you can play for yourself, and it doesn't go anywhere. I mean, that's and for some people that's the dream.
I mean, that's what we would have done if we didn't start Widowmaker.
Exactly.
That's what we were doing, was just making. We were just chopping shit up and just making dope shit that had no goals. You know.
I mean, so leaving us with musical knowledge is, I mean, we'll be up and running making beats in no time flat. It's being able to plug in with the right people. That if you can take that away, that's the hard part to gain.
Right. That's dope right there. That's a great answer. I appreciate that from you guys. And the reason why I asked this crazy question is just because, you know, like you, Guttah, there's people that have had their equipment malfunction, like a broken hard drive or a computer just gone to crap, and so they want to know, you know, okay, how can I get back on my feet? I have nothing. How can I get back on my feet with this limited amount of money? And then there's also people out there that want to be producers, and they want to know, what is the first step or second step that they can take in order to start making beats. And so I think that the answer that you guys just gave, will definitely put some people on the right path. And so I want to thank you guys for that.
Yeah, man, your asset is your knowledge, and your asset is who you know and your connections that you've made, and the way that you navigate that's your asset. The equipment, I mean, you're gonna figure out a way to make some dope ass beats no matter what. Yeah. If you're a music producer, even if there's no computers and there's no Ableton, you're gonna go get a sampler and you're gonna figure it out and you're gonna make some ill material,
I mean, like,
it's all, the other end of it is what's important.
Absolutely.
In that aspect, as far as like building, I mean.
Yeah, get a cheap Casio or make your beats on a tape deck. Like, you'll get it done if you've got the knowledge and if you've got those kinds of connections. I mean, the equipment makes it easier. It doesn't make it happen.
Right, nice. I love, man, that's a gem right there. Wow. Okay, well, I want to know legacy. What does legacy mean to you guys? And when it's all said and done, and when this music thing is over, which it sounds like not anytime soon, because you guys just have a love and passion for it. You guys were doing it when you had no money, and when you guys weren't doing it for money. And not saying you're doing it for money now. I'm not trying to say that, but I'm just saying, you're doing it for the love then, and now you're doing it for a career now. Yeah, what do you want your legacy to be when it's all said and done?
Well, I think that legacy is an interesting question, because it's almost impossible to know what your legacy is going to be, or if you're even going to have one. I think that some of the things that are really important to us is to when this is all over, to have made something that mattered to people, that people liked to listen to, that inspired people, that that people thought was fun. I mean, we want to make something that means something to people in the world. And we both love this art, this craft so much that building this school, I think a big part of what we're looking at with legacy is we want to see music production's not going anywhere. And I think that there's a lot of evidence to show that it's just going to get bigger and bigger and more accessible, which is wonderful. Mm-hmm. But I think preserving a little bit of the old ways in how people do music production going forward is maybe part of the legacy. There's kind of two sides to it. The educational side is like instilling in people some of the values and the tenets and the techniques of the old ways of making beats. That's part of the legacy, and making it, making this town that we live in. I mean, we're trying to think super locally when it comes to this. Making this town that we live in, have somewhat of a reputation as a place where you can go to make music. That means a lot to us. But when it comes to our own music, I mean, I think we look far enough ahead in terms of getting people to hear what we're making and getting people to feel what we're making. But ultimately, I think the goal is to make something that people were into when they listened to it. And as an artist of any kind, there's not much more you can hope for.
Nice. I'm loving that.
Yeah, man. Like legacy, like how to be remembered if we were gone, for example. I mean, let me know if I'm speaking for you here and you don't agree, but like just being remembered as good solid dudes that did right for their families and didn't carve their own path. You know what I'm saying? Like 100%. We're opening this shop up, this school up, and this studio up because we want to. We're tired. We feel like we can make a living doing what we love to do and what we are best at in the world.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Best at. I mean the thing that we are best. You know what I mean? Not that we're the best in the world. And, you know what I'm saying? It's just like that's what we should all be doing for a living is what we're best at.
Right.
So trying to figure out how to do that is really tricky, but and we're in the infancy stages of that. I'm not claiming that we're going to be super successful or, who knows what about that, but just trying, you got to put your balls on the line sometimes to get out from under the hands of, the man or whatever, you know what I'm saying? Like, just do what you want and figure out a way to do it.
Well, and I think it inspires other people to do that, to stick your neck out there and to say, I'm going to go with art as what I do with my life. That's a risky thing to do. And I think when other people see it, anyone else who kind of has that dream, it inspires some of them to go, well, then maybe I can do that too. And I mean, that's, I can't speak for Guttah's life, but I have people in my life that I've seen do that, and it made me go like, well, then if they can do it, I can do it, And yeah, I mean, I hadn't thought of that angle, but you're absolutely right. I mean, like going all in and saying we can do this, for a living, I think it's a big claim, and it's inspiring to people.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's definitely inspiring me, and I'm not trying to take anything away from you guys, because you guys have, you guys are doing some pretty great things. But when I see, the stuff that you have done, I do say, wow. Well, if they can do it, and they're from where I'm from, almost, then why shouldn't I be doing it, or why can't I do it? And so.
Absolutely. The thing is, this age that we're in, everyone's trying to figure out how to navigate using the internet to their advantage. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And that is fucking key. You got artists that want to clown Instagram. Are you fucking kidding me? Like, that's the most ridiculous shit I've ever heard. Like, that there's so many connections to be made on there. Right. There's so many groups to be made through there. It is a platform for you to make maneuvers. You know what I mean?
You use it. You use it for, everyone's using it for different things, but you choose what you want to use it for. And if you want to use it to network and build your career, then do that, and you'll get some pretty good results from that,
Absolutely, but it's just all about how you use it, then you've got to navigate it, and it's not just blanketing. Right. It's all about strategy. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And it's just that's key for sure.
Well, which, by the way, fun fact, a little Cliff Clavin for who invented that, hyping up hip hop through social media and through the internet?
No.
Soulja Boy. It was fucking, of all of the people in the world, it was Soulja Boy.
Soulja Boy, and
that's the one thing he did right. He knew how to use the internet strategically, and say what you want about his music, but he did that right. And there is, you don't want to. I don't think our message should ever be you got to front and act like somebody you're not. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like, we rep Gresham, Oregon. That's not, you know what I mean? We're not trying to act like we're somebody we're not. Right. But absolutely use those platforms to push yourself forward.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. I mean, that's you want to put yourself where the attention is, and at the moment, that's where most of the attention is. It's on the internet, and it's on social media platforms.
Yeah, and Grant made a good point there, kind of on the side. And that, if I got any advice for anybody in this game too, it is 100% just be yourself. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Nice.
Absolutely, man. You know what I mean? Like, just be yourself. This is hip hop. It doesn't mean that you have to be a tough guy. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, Grant and I, we're not tough guys. You know what I mean?
Guttah's a much tougher guy than I am.
Don't get me wrong.
Well, his name is Guttah. I mean, come on.
Exactly. Hey, listen, don't get me wrong. I'll put Grant and I 2 and 2 against any two. You know what I mean? What I mean is, we don't live a life that is looking for any kind of problems ever, and we've strategically made our lives drama free on purpose.
Yep, right.
And it's taken a lot of work and a lot of years to get it there. You know what I mean? And just be who you are. You don't have to be a tough guy.
No doubt.
You know what I mean? And it's like, don't get me wrong. If the time comes to fight, be tough as shit.
Yeah.
But I'm talking about outwardly, and I'm talking about in the way that you act.
Yeah, don't front.
If that's you in the real world, then be that for sure. But like, be yourself in this game. You know what I mean? Just
you'll get more respect that way too. I mean, we've seen artists pretend like they're something else, and then when they get called out for being who they are, they fade to black because no one wants to listen to someone front. I mean, I guess we do all the time. Just we know that people out there do front, but I mean,
And we don't have to name names. I think we know what we're talking about. Like, there's some people that when it gets real and someone asks them to be who they said they were, they aren't all, So it just makes more sense to just be that up front,
Yep, exactly.
Be yourself, you know what I mean? It's like what I'm talking, actual toughness. I mean, like, being a tough person isn't what I'm talking about. Like, hold your own and fight a motherfucker. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about
tough guy.
Just how you live your life. I mean, it's like if violence is an everyday part of your life, chances are we don't know you.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
We don't have time for that shit. We don't have room for that shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like the truth is, like, we don't fuck with anybody. We don't sell drugs. We sit down and we make beats. That's what we do.
Yep.
And the beat, if you think the beats are dope, then that's the end of the conversation,
I love that. Well, the next question was, what was the greatest piece of advice that you've received, and what advice would you give to all the beat grinders listening? But before we go into that, I just want to say one thing is that when it comes to legacy, when I first put this question together, I always thought people would say, well, my legacy is to be the best ever, or to be whatever. But the answer you guys just provided is exactly what you're living now. You guys are the legacy that you want to create you're creating it at this moment, and I just think that that's super impressive on your part. And most of the producers, they have similar answers as well, but it's just I don't know why I thought of this, but it's just completely different from what I thought most producers would say. And so you guys are definitely living that legacy at the moment. So I just want to recognize that.
I think when you think about artists, the best never say that they're the best.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, you got Muhammad Ali and you got Michael Jordan, and they said they're the best, and it turns out also they were the best. But this is a subjective thing. How can you say I want to be the best beat maker? Like, who's the best beat maker? You know what I mean? Like,
right.
Guttah and I wouldn't agree on that answer. So there's no way to say that. Like, we want to make something good.
Dope. All right. Well, you guys may have already answered this, but what? I know you said just be authentic, 100% yourself. Is there any other advice that you would have for the beat grinders? And what is the best piece of advice that you guys ever received?
We learned a lesson from, I won't say who it is, but early on. And if I can give everybody one piece of advice that I learned through experience, that is that no reply from somebody is an answer.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? If you hit somebody up wanting them to see what you're doing or consider what you're doing for their use or whatever that reason may be, if they just don't hit you back, that people think that that's not an answer, but that's an answer.
That's an answer,
right? And you continue trying to push that, you just look like an asshole.
Well, and you're not taking in the information they gave you.
Yeah.
No reply is a reply. That is what they said to you. Nothing.
Right.
Do something with that information and move forward.
Yeah, I'm not saying, don't reach out again later. I'm not saying don't maybe send a message on another platform just in case somebody didn't receive something. But I'm, like, if someone's fading you and you feel like you're being faded, then you are.
Yep.
And at that point, just forget about it.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like, that's advice that I can give.
That's great advice. Nice.
And I think so that's some advice that someone gave to Guttah and that he gave to me, and I think that's helped me kind of understand, because he handles a lot of the like 99% of the correspondences with outside artists because he's just so damn good at it. And I would get really frustrated on his behalf because he hit this person up and then they didn't hit us back, and just saying like, well, if they didn't hit us back, that's what they mean to say. You know what I mean?
Right.
That's kind of helped me to not take it so personally too, to see it as, okay, so now this is the new fact. It's not up in the air. This is the new fact. Let's move around that. Let's work with that information now. The other piece of advice that we both kind of live by, and we, and we've said this a number of times, and kind of in good times and bad, and that is just make what you like, make what you think is dope. Because I've been hung up on these weird jazzy beats my whole life, and Guttah's been hung up on these really grimy, unsettling beats his whole life, and we've been just perfecting these things that, you got to realize, like, in the era of like super polished, like back when he was Puff Daddy, you know what I mean, like when Ludacris was out, when Mike Jones was out, you know what I mean, like when hip hop didn't anything like what we're doing now, when it was all just some weird nostalgia thing. Right. We were still making this music because we thought it was dope. Yeah, I figured the world would have forgotten about Portishead. You know what I mean? Like, I figured like this sound, this kind of like dark, gritty, jazzy sound, they would have forgotten about it. But we just kept making the stuff we wanted to make, and we just kept making it, and we kept making it better, and we kept pushing it to to new avenues, even though we didn't think anyone was into it. We did it because we loved doing it, and it eventually it's beginning to find its way into the spotlight.
Nice.
But even if it didn't, I think the important part is we'd still be making it, right? Because we make what you like, make what you think is dope, and that at the end of the day, that's all you got.
Right. Yep. I love it.
Just remember too, the production is what's important as a music producer. You know what I mean? Like, if Grant and I would have started working on beats together and wouldn't have formed Widowmaker, I would probably be sitting at my pad right now with my 303 chopping up beats for no purpose.
Yep.
Like, you know what I mean? Like,
same.
It's. I'm not saying it's about putting in time, but you have to put in time. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like, if you have to put in 10,000 hours into your craft, how can you try to market yourself as a master of that craft? You know what I'm saying?
And that's not to say your first beat can't be a huge success.
Oh, absolutely.
Do not count on it. You know what I mean? Like keep fucking going. And if you don't love doing the work itself, you probably aren't going to make it.
Yeah.
Like, I love making beats that I know no one's going to hear. You know what I mean? Like Guttah and I both have hard drives filled with beats that the other hasn't even heard.
Wow.
You know what I mean? Just because we like making this shit. So like, you gotta be about it, and you have to make yourself happy with the work that you do. And don't make anything with the expectation that it's going anywhere. Just be pleased when it does.
Nice. That is.
Milestones will come as a natural result of anybody that works on anything for a period of time. Milestones will happen. Just be happy with them and move the fuck on, because it's all about sitting there making music.
Yep. Just enjoy the process.
Yep. Absolutely, man. And if you don't enjoy it, then become a fan of hip hop.
No doubt.
Right. Nice. Well, that's dope right there. Thank you guys you guys left the interview off on a great note with some great advice that we can all live by. Beat grinders, I hope you guys are listening. Just do this for fun. Don't do it to chase money or anything like that. Whatever you're looking for, it will come if you put in that time, if you put in that effort, and you have a will to make it. So thank you, Widowmaker, for this great interview, and thank you for all of your words of advice. Thank you.
Thank you so much for having us.
Yeah, thank you, man. It means a lot to us, dude. I appreciate you.
Likewise. All right, if you guys have any more words for the listeners, if you want to let them know what they need to be listening to from Widowmaker, what they need to be looking out for, and also how to contact you if you want to be contacted, please let them know.
So definitely, speaking of Instagram, follow us where we're not flexing at all. Follow us on Instagram at Widowmaker Beats. That's Widowmaker_Beats. Follow Midschool at Midschool Gresham.
Follow Grant Burgess PDX.
Grant Burgess PDX on Instagram as well. You can find a lot of our releases on Spotify, on any of the Apple Music, Spotify, Amazon, Instagram Music. Just look for Widowmaker. And what's that? Email?
Oh yeah, email widowmakerconnect gmail.com.
Yep.
Okay.
And anybody hit us up about anything, anytime. You know, I mean, we are a resource. You know, for you know, we're at 45 Powell.
Yeah.
And that's where our shop is, and you know, we're here.
And we love hearing people's beats. You want to send something in and just be like, how do you feel about this? What can we do? Like, we like talking about beats. If you know of an artist we should be working with, or know of an artist we should just know about. I mean, we love corresponding with that stuff. So follow us for sure.
That's dope. Beat grinders, take advantage of these guys. They are a resource here to help. And so you don't hear that every day from producers saying, send beats, we want to give you feedback. So definitely use these guys for a resource. They're opening up to us. So, and if you are in the Portland area, please go by Midschool once it opens. Do you guys have a date for it? When it's going to open?
We don't yet. It's going to open in a kind of a couple of different levels. So we'll have our studio put in, and then the school will open, I think, officially in the summer. So if you just follow at Midschool Gresham on Instagram, all the opening dates, all the class dates, everything that's going to happen, that'll all be posted there.
Okay. Well, yeah, if you're in the Portland... I'm sorry, were you going to say something?
Well, I wanted to make sure, too, just sorry, man, I didn't mean to interrupt, but as far as contacts go, make sure that you guys check out Trevor Lang, too. That's I am Trevor Lang on Instagram, and check out his website. He's basically like our label, and he works with some of the dopest artists. Like, he's just scouring the underground for the grimiest shit ever, dude. It's
Keep
amazing.
your eye on him. He's doing huge things right now.
Wow. Okay, that's what's up.
Yeah, we want to make sure we got to say what's up and peace to DJ Ozrock, the whole On One posse.
Yep.
You know, DJ Wicked, Lisa Vasquez, people in the Portland area. You know, if there are people in the Portland area that are doing dope music, man. I mean, we haven't collaborated with many of them, but we just want to shout them out and say, you know, thanks for holding it down and doing dope shit.
Nice. Yeah, shout out all those guys. Definitely dope producers and dope DJs here locally in the Portland area. So that's what's up. Well, I want to thank you guys again for being on the show. I want to thank you Beat Grinders for tuning into another episode of Beats Grinding Life. Really means a lot to me. If you guys found this episode of any value, which I'm pretty sure that you did, because Widowmaker came and they brought it. They spit a lot of knowledge and dropped a lot of gems for us. But if you did find value, please share it on Instagram, share it on your Insta stories, take a screenshot, and just let everybody know how dope of a episode this was. Tag me, tag Widowmaker, tag them as a duo or as on their individual pages, and let them know what they did for you. Also, be sure to rate and review this podcast in iTunes, on SoundCloud. Put a like on there, and anywhere else that you're listening to this episode. And you guys know how it goes. You've been mentored by more dope producers. This week, you've been mentored by Widowmaker. So you guys consider yourselves lucky. And you know how it goes. Continue making beats, stay on your grind, and live life. All right, peace, y'all.
Here at Beats Grinding Life, we want to thank you for listening to another episode. We want to know, what were your biggest takeaways from this interview? Just go to beatsgrindandlife.com and leave a comment on this episode's show notes page. Also, while you are there, go subscribe to the podcast on iTunes. Just click the little button that says subscribe. If you could, please leave a rating and review. Rating and reviews are the best way to show your appreciation, because it helps more people find out about the podcast. So until next week's episode, keep grinding.